everybody and welcome to this new video. I have decided that I'm going to be making a little bit of a mini-series basically centered around political issues that really interest me personally and that concern me personally. So I'm going to start off this series with this very first video on the subject homophobia. Now you will notice this going on quite a lot when I use that term because I personally do not agree with it at all. And I know that this is something that's been going around the internet a lot, and you know, I'm not the only person that really is annoyed by it. So I'm hoping that maybe this will find some resonance and maybe some people will share this video and maybe it'll get a bigger viewing, because I would actually really like my personal views to maybe reach some other people who have the same views, and so maybe, you know, we can get together and change something, because me, myself, and my camera, we can't really do all that much, but me, myself, my camera, and a hell of a lot of other people, we might actually be able to change something. So the thing with the term homophobia is, or at least the problem that a lot of people are having with it and that I personally have with it too, is this idea of a phobia. Now, a phobia, for anybody who's not familiar with the term, is actually an irrational, debilitating fear of something. It's literally you fear something so bad that you cannot even deal with it. Like, for instance, arachnophobia, the fear of spiders. It doesn't matter if it's just like this itsy bitsy little tiny thing, you're gonna go crazy. Like, you cannot deal with spiders at all, period. Doesn't matter how cutesy or tiny they are or whatever, you just can't deal with them. As you can imagine, the word homophobia suggests an irrational, debilitating fear of homosexual people. Now, while I am not entirely sure that something like that does not exist, I am pretty darn sure that a lot of people who are generally labeled as homophobe don't have that kind of fear of homosexuals. There's this saying that's floating around the internet that is, it's not a fear, you're just an asshole, or you're not afraid, you're just an asshole, or any different kind of like variation on that. And I would actually like to pick up on that because, yeah, I agree with that. It's not, maybe you are a bit afraid or you're uncomfortable, and a lot of times, you know, things that are different make us very uncomfortable because they're out of like what we know, and so it takes us some time to actually get to know these things before we start to become more comfortable with it and before we start to stop fearing it. But then again, on the other hand, there are some people who live around homosexual people or people of any other sexuality other than heterosexual all their darn lives, and they still treat them awfully, and you can't tell me that that still has to do with, you know, fear of the unknown. So again, the term is slightly misleading. Now, while of course it's easy to say, well, yeah, that's all cool, you know, we're just colloquially using this term, I actually recently found out via my college courses that it's actually the official term used in academia right now. So people like the smart people, the people who are studying this and like writing doctors, whatever, PhDs on this kind of stuff, they use that term, and it annoys me that that's the only term that we have to use for something like this. Because, you know, for racism we have racism, we have sexism, we have ageism, whatever, and it's all of these isms, and then suddenly it's homophobia. You know, as if it's more legitimate to discriminate against homosexuals or generally people who are not straight than it would be to discriminate against people of another skin color, ethnicity, gender, whatever the heck else. So here's my proposition now that I've ranted, and I realize that a lot of times rants just are rants and there's no idea behind it, but I actually do want to propose an idea, and I would really like it if, you know, this idea could be taken up by people, and maybe the more we use it, the more likely it is to actually become the official term. So I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking the only word that I have a problem with is the phobia part of homophobia. So if you, for instance, look at the word homophobe, I don't have a problem with that because the word, like the ending phobe, can also be the ending in, I don't know, like in sciences, they use that, for instance, hydrophobe, which means it repels water. Basically, it just means it doesn't get along. So if you were to take the ending phobe in that sense, so from like repelling something and putting that onto human psychology, behavior, whatever, it would automatically just mean, or for me, that's what it would be, what it would mean, good lord, is that this person just doesn't get along with whatever is the first part of this word. So, homophobe for me is a perfectly legitimate term. I would also suggest keeping that and not just completely changing it. However, the phobia part is still out here. And what I've been trying to find a way around the phobia thing, and what I recently researched, oh lord, Google is amazing, it took me all of 5 minutes, is to figure out that the noun that goes along with the ending phobe, as in for instance hydrophobe, is phobicity. So the science, like natural sciences term for repelling something, so for being, for instance, water repellent, would be hydrophobicity. So, I would suggest, and I have personally decided to try and start using this word more also in academic context, so I might, get some backlash from this from my professors or classmates, but I'm pretty hell-bent on using the term homophobicity instead of homophobia. I personally find it fits better, and it doesn't have the suggestion of it being a fear, and even an irrational fear. Phobias are irrational fears. They still have a legitimate place in our society, in our general community as human beings. So even if you might find it hilarious that somebody has arachnophobia, it's still legitimate to have a fear of spiders. Like, you can always find a reasoning behind it. However, homophobia, again, for me, is just not a legitimate phobia. Like, it's not a legitimate fear of anything, really. So, I would like to take this legitimization of a so-called fear, which in my eyes isn't even a fear, out of it by exchanging the term. If you make homophobia into homophobicity, then you take away this idea that it's a legitimate thing. And yet still, we would be able to keep the term, for instance, homophobe, so we don't have to change everything. So now that I've talked about this a lot, you can tell I'm pretty passionate about it. I would really enjoy it if you could give this video a thumbs up, if you could comment down below what you think of my idea, like if you agree with me, and please share, bring it out there. If I'm the only person using that term, then it's probably not going to make a big splash. But if we can manage to get more people to use this term, and also more people not just ranting on Tumblr or something, but people in an academic context to use this term, then maybe we can actually make a change. So, go ahead, spread this, tell people about it. I've been trying to start a hashtag on Twitter, the hashtag ItsNotAFear and the hashtag homophobicity. If you use those, like if you want to tweet something or on Instagram or whatever, use those. Share this video with those hashtags. Help me start this revolution. Help me get this ball rolling. We've all seen the power of the internet. Let's just try and use it. I have no idea yet how long this little politically active mini-series is going to be, but I have a couple of more subjects that I would like to address. So if you like this kind of video, if you like my ideas, then go ahead and subscribe and you will get a notification when I next put a video out there. So I will see you guys next time, and spread the love, guys. Bye-bye.